What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to the Rush Hour Wednesday edition. Welcome to the AFC Championship preview. This is Championship week, Mr. Podger. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I'm
I
just saying,
can.
let's get excited. Like, look,
I'll tell you what,
let's go.
Mike. I am beyond ecstatic. I think my voice is still recovering from the game on Sunday, and let me tell you, it's a surreal feeling. You know, we haven't been in this position in 4 years now, so it feels good. It feels really good.
Oh, man.
Didn't think we'd be here. A lot of people didn't think we'd be here, but here we are.
I know. I know. I got to tell you, beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. I took my boy for this is his first year, and well, not his first year in flag football, but he played it a couple years ago in between soccer seasons. And this is the first time we're going big. It's called Friday Night Lights. It's here in Temecula. It's literally a couple blocks down the road. So he had his first practice, right? And it's football. So I'm like, I'm going to meet some Bills guys. So I wear my little windbreaker with the Bills logo on it, right? So we get to the field and I'm walking to where his field is, and a little 8-year-old walks past me with his mom and he says, "Go Bills." And I'm like, "Are you a Bills fan?" And his mom's like, "Yeah, he loves the Bills. We love the Bills." And I'm like, "All right, I love to hear that." Then I walked a little bit further, and I'm Jake, kidding you not. This is about I'm walking 100 yards. Another guy comes up to me. "I'm a Raider fan, man. We're pulling for you." I'm like, "Okay, love it." And then I ran into one more guy, and he goes, his son. They look at me and they're like, "Go Bills!" And I come over to them like, "Are you Bills fans?" Because they didn't have any Bills gear on. He's like, "Yeah, I was born and raised in Buffalo. Here's my son. He loves the Bills." And they went to the game against the Rams. So he asked me, he goes, "Did you
Oh,
go to
nice.
SoFi for the Rams game?" And I'm like, "Not this past one, but I went a few years back on Thursday Night Football." And dude, it was a beautiful thing. Met his little son, who his son actually is not that little. He's probably about 11 or 12. It's kind of little, I guess. And showed me some pictures from SoFi, and became a subscriber to Nickel City Mafia. So let's
Oh, that's
go.
amazing.
We
Nice.
exchanged phone numbers. We're gonna meet up maybe, and maybe watch the game together. I don't know, but it's great to meet Bills Mafia members, and I love it every time I put on a jacket. Somebody always comes up to me. I'm sure you get that in Buffalo all the time, but I'm just saying, man, it's a special feeling.
It is. It's so much better too when you're away or like in an airport or something, and you're not really expecting it as much, right? Here in Buffalo, it's our greetings and our goodbyes. You say "Go Bills" to greet someone. You say "Go Bills" when you're saying goodbye. So very normalized here. But yeah, you're right, Mike. When you're out of state and you're out of your element, right, and someone says "Go Bills," no two words can unite someone more than "Go Bills," right? I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Dude, a little 8-year-old. Can you imagine 8-year-old? And I
That's
could tell
awesome.
I'm walking past him and his mom. I could tell he's like he wants to say something. He waits till he gets a little bit past me and then go Wills. He let it out.
That's amazing.
It was
You
cool
had to be
stuff.
pumped.
Dude, there were no tables around, Jake, but I was there was some field goal, there was some goal posts. I was about to go try to tear down a goal post. I don't know if I could do
Nice.
it by myself, but I was ready to do it. If there were tables, Jake, maybe I would have jumped through my first table. I don't know. I was pumped.
There we
And
go.
I'm just pumped this whole week. I mean, got to celebrate this big victory against the Ravens Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday. All my friends, all my coworkers, just cheering me on. I got some Bills fans too that are coworkers. So it was a great thing. And Weston, I want to say hi. Thank you for joining us. Weston,
There he
we're
is.
going to try to get Weston on the pod, but he was traveling back home. I think he said he went to from Wichita to DC, and he just said feels like he's been away for like a week or so, and it's only been a few days. But thanks for joining us out there here in the chat, Weston. We appreciate you. And for those out there that don't know, Weston is a Chiefs fan, but a great friend of the show, great friend of ours. So thanks for joining us. And I'm sure we'll see Chad out there sometime. Maybe he'll sneak away for lunch. But Big L, shout out to Big L. I hear got some stuff going on. I don't want to reveal too much. I don't want to break any laws. But Big L, we're here you going through something, and as long as they get you out by Sunday, I'm with you, man. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine, Big L. I know you're a tough guy. So prayers for you though. Want you to get through that and get home Sunday just in time to see that game. So I know you'll make it, Big Al. I know you'll make it through the game. That was funny. Jake was telling me, you're like, as long as I'm home for the Sunday game, otherwise
It's all that matters.
I'll come back later.
Right? Yep, that's right.
Don't
Yeah. Get
schedule
home
me for
before
next week.
Sunday.
Schedule me for next week. I'm good.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
All right, man. So listen, I know you have some things to talk about, Jake, here in a minute. I'm going to let you talk about that, but I figured we start with some trivia, and I got some
Okay.
trivia question for you, my friend.
Nice.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think you'll nail this, but I don't know. It might be a little sneaky for you. And so let's go. Here it is. Including this upcoming championship game, since the Super Bowl era, how many conference championships have the Buffalo Bills played in?
Okay. So that's including this game coming up.
Including this
Okay.
game.
Let me count.
Break it down.
Let's see. So we got this year. We got 4 years ago, rematch against the Chiefs. Then you have to go back to the 90s. We had 4. There was an AFC championship. That was the Bengals, right? Or was that divisional? I think it was divisional. Maybe it was AFC championship. I'm trying to think. What is it? 8 total? I think it's 8.
It is 8.
I was going to say, okay.
Yeah,
I remember them.
The Bengals.
Yes. Yep.
So in 1966, let's go through some history here, because there's some connections to the Chiefs here. 1966, the first time the AFL had a chance. This is the first Super Bowl year. It's the first time they had the Super Bowl, and they played the Chiefs. The Buffalo Bill played the Chiefs at the Rock Pile, and the Bills had beaten the Chiefs the previous in the regular season, and the Buffalo Bills in 64 and 65 were the AFL champs.
Yep.
Had 2 AFL championships in 64 and 65. In 66, the first time for the Super Bowl, the Chiefs come to town and they beat the Bills 38-24. And they go on to the Super Bowl, first Super Bowl against the Packers, and they lose that one. Nobody was beating the Packers back then. In 1988, and these are the seasons, of course, the playoff games went into the 89, but in 1988, the Buffalo Bills took on the Bengals in Cincinnati, Ickey Woods era, and lost 21-10. 1990, the Bills put a whooping on the Raiders, 51-3, to go to their first Super Bowl ever. In 91, I actually got this wrong the last time you were asking me about when we last played the Broncos. 91 was when we played the Broncos, the second Super Bowl, and we beat them 10-7, close game. And then 92, we beat the Dolphins 29-10. And in 93, we beat the Chiefs 30-13. Joe Montana led Chiefs. He got knocked out. I forget what it was, third quarter or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in 2020, we lose to the Chiefs 38-24. And here we are again with the Chiefs. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th conference championship against the Chiefs. We are 1-2 against them. So let's try to tie it up. Let's try to get the win here and make it 2-2, Jake.
It's interesting, 38-24, that was the score of the first it was AFL back in the day, AFL championship, right? So I'm wondering, we got that 38-24 out of the way 4 years ago. So now, what was the second score? It was
when we beat Joe Montana.
We beat them. Yeah, what was the score of that game?
30-13.
There's my score prediction for Sunday. Boom.
All right, I love it. I love it. Big L says I'm breaking out for the game. Yes, Big L.
Yeah, he is.
I know nothing's. I told Jake, I'm like, they got TVs in there. He's
it's
like,
not the same.
Big L doesn't want to watch it on that little TV that they have in there. Probably poor reception, anyways.
Right.
He wants to be around the family. I don't know. I think it's more like he doesn't want any of the nurses to hear him, shouting and whatever he's going to do. Is Big L one of those guys that just? Because I got to tell you, man, I let it out sometimes, man. I scream.
Oh yeah.
I get a little crazy. Big L like that?
Oh, he is. Yeah. Usually we have a nice conversation at halftime. A lot of times it isn't the most pleasant conversation, even if we're winning. There's always some criticisms you got to pass along, right? So, yeah, definitely into it, definitely into the game. Some swearing involved at times for sure. I mean, I remember growing up at times there was I mean, this is during the drought era too, so things got a little heated, so I always made sure, I'm just gonna kind of stay out of the room sometimes, and I'll go downstairs or whatever, so he gets into it, definitely.
What about you? Are you one of those fiery guys?
You know what? Not so much. I am I'm definitely passionate. Don't get me wrong. I get frustrated, but I reiterate in my brain, there's a lot of game left. There's a lot of game left. And I try to think in terms of being a player in that game if I can. I try to put myself in their shoes.
Okay.
I get fired up, though. There's no doubt. I mean, I was jumping up and down. I think there is something to say about being in person at a game, too. I was jumping up and down like a little schoolgirl on Sunday, Mike. It was incredible. I mean, hugging everyone around me. There is something really special about being there in person. I do that at home, though, too. Same thing.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah. So in the Ravens game, I was reverting back to old Mike back in the early days, just being crazy loud. And then I felt bad because we were winning in the first half. And I told Jonah, I apologize. I might have been a little disrespectful. So I'm going to calm down in the second half. He's like, no, Dad, I want you to be happy. You do you. I'm like, okay. But I didn't. I calmed it down, because his team was losing. Didn't want to rub it into too much.
I love it.
And of course, if they had come back, he would have had his revenge on me. But good stuff. Let's see here. Weston saying, beat us in 93, but I wasn't alive.
Well, now you know the history.
So we got one against you. We're going to try to get two against you. So, Jake, I'm going to give you a few stats. Well, first of all, you got something to talk about. We got a potential, well, not a potential, someone we're partnering up with. And why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Sean Otto and my good buddy, basically a second brother to me, Alex. We don't have many brothers out there, right? So Alex was actually with me on Sunday at the Bills-Ravens game, and he's a part of this essentially this new company that him and his buddy Sean and a few others had formed called EQ Bets. So I want to give them a huge shout out. They've done some amazing things. They're growing. They started about a year and a half ago, but it is essentially a way to make some money through their recommendations on sports betting. So it's all sports betting. The main sports they cover right now are basketball, that's NCAA and NBA, hockey, NFL, NCAA football, et cetera, right? So they have plays of the day. They have a ton of different models that they put out there. Everything is actually done through the Whoop app. So that's a really popular app for sports bettors. It's all very informational, and that's the main interface that they use. So they'll post everything on there. It is a subscription-based betting algorithm site, if you will, right? But they have a Discord as well. And I know in the future, we're going to be linking some of their plays of the day that they post on their private Discord to our betting Discord. So a really nice collab that we got going with them. I think today it was Connor Hellebuck was the play of the day, over 25.5 saves for the Winnipeg Jets. So if you're a sports bettor and you want to sprinkle a little cash on it, maybe go for it, So definitely going to be doing some of those in the future, specific to hopefully football games and, different sporting events and whatnot. But they're really into it, and their analytics are incredible. They've hit on about 71% of their bets over the course of the last year and a half. So like I mentioned, it is a subscription-based website, if you will. It's $10 a month, but your first 7 days are free, and we'll be providing a link in the description below, so you can go ahead and sign up and check it out. The presentation, the interface is really awesome. Like I said, they use this Whoop app, which is kind of a newer thing, and it's mainly for betting channels. And they kind of have everything, their Discord and plays of the day and everything in different tabs. It's really well organized, and they're doing some great stuff out there, and they're a sponsor here for us at Nickel City Mafia. So we're going to get that logo slapped on very soon, and it's going to be totally official. I'm fired up.
Love it. I love it. Yes, definitely. Check out I'll drop the link after the show, and check it out for sure. And I'm curious. There's one of my favorite people on the pod is Trek Reviewer, Weston, of course. I'm curious. You guys like to throw a few bets down once in a while? I'm curious. Let me know. Trek
Cut
Reviewer.
Cam. Still going at the Cut Cam.
Cut Cam. I just dismiss that comment all the time. But Trek Reviewer, thanks for being out there, man. Really appreciate it. For all those out there coming into the show, please drop a nickel on the subscribe button. If you're new to the show, if you're new to the channel, don't know where you've been, but if you found us, like Weston found us a few years back, I think Weston found us when we weren't crying, but we were talking about the loss to the Chiefs, right? The last time we played them, which it wasn't last year. I don't think was it last year. You been with us for a year, Weston, or was it a year before?
I believe it was last year.
Probably
Both
was
him
last year
and Chad, actually.
because
Yeah.
it was the Bengals we had lost to 2 years ago. But
Right.
yeah, and they got Bob O'Brien coming in. I was at the '93 game. Bruce Smith knocked Joe Montana out of the game. Yeah, Bob, I was talking about that. Do you know what was it like third quarter or fourth quarter? Because Montana played for a decent amount of time, and I remember something. I mean, Bruce hit him so hard, and it was so cold that day. And I forget there was a funny comment that Bruce said Montana made to him while he's laying there, but like I'm too old for this or something like that. Get me the
Who
hell
was
out
it?
of here.
Dave Craig? Did Dave Craig come into the game after Montana? I think it was Dave Craig
That's
at
a
the time,
great
right?
question because I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, he says it was early third. There we go. Early third. Yeah. Oh, did
I
you
did
guys
see that. Trek
Is
Reviewer,
there?
I did see your mock draft too. So shout out to our Discord, the Nickel City Mafia Discord. If you guys want to check that out, it is totally free. You can join with the link below in the description. But Trek Reviewer, already doing some mock drafts for the 2025 NFL Draft. Little early for that right now, Trek. Listen, we got a Super Bowl to win first, but I did see that there is another defensive tackle out there, plays for Maryland, named Jordan Phillips. So kind of funny.
Yeah,
And yes,
Weston
Dave
said
Craig,
it
there
was
it
Dave
is.
Craig.
Yep.
Yep. Who
Good
played?
quarterback.
Didn't he play for Seattle for a while?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
for
was a Pro
Seattle.
Bowl quarterback. Pretty good
Yeah.
player.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yep.
So you always kind of forget. I'm impressed that you remembered the Bengals because that's the one people always kind of forget. They forget that.
So that
one.
was and it was Boomer Esiason was the quarterback for
Boomer
the Bengals.
Esiason.
Yep.
Boomer was the quarterback back then.
Yep.
I remember watching it at my dad's house where he lives now, and yeah, it was disappointing, but it was the start of something great to come. The year after that, we actually lose to Cleveland. That was the game Big L and I were at in Cleveland
Yeah.
with Ronnie Harmon missing that ball in the corner of the end zone. Perfect throw, drops the ball, and then Jim throws an interception after that. But then we went on the roll. Then we went on the run. 4 straight Super Bowls.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the Ronnie Harmon play. A lot of people
Yeah.
bringing up Mark Andrews' drop from last game, right? So people are like, Ravens fans especially, they're like, oh man, I don't know if we've ever felt something like this. And, you know, woe is me. And, you know, and it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. It's validated. You are validated. You're allowed to feel that way. But gosh, you just brought up the Ronnie Harmon play. I mean, this is back in what, 1989 or 1987 rather.
It was the 88 year. It was the 88 year. 89
That's what
was
it
the
was.
actual
Yeah.
playoff game. But
Right.
I always remember that. I'll always remember that. It was, and I was in that end of the end zone. I was in the end zone right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, we're jumping up. It's like perfectly thrown ball.
Yep.
And Ronnie Harmon, just like Mark Andrews, was well known for catching the ball in good hands. Just not on that day. Not on that day.
Right.
But yeah, so I guess David Craig also replaced Joe Montana in San Fran. It couldn't have been for long, right? Couldn't have been for that long. I don't think he played that long.
Was he at San Fran? I don't even remember.
I don't
are
remember
you sure
that
about
either,
that, Trek?
because I thought it was Steve Young after that, wasn't it? Steve Young.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
over.
Steve Young. Yeah. Are you sure? I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I'll have to check it. If it was, it had to be for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Or maybe that 1 year. I don't know. Couldn't have been long.
Yeah, because I know he played with, I think, Detroit and Arizona, and then he finished his career with the Titans, and it was like their first year as the Tennessee Titans, I believe, or maybe they were still the Oilers actually. But yeah,
Okay.
he played for a while in the league. Main team was Seattle.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, we had a line for fans to make any death threats against Andrews. What's wrong with people? What the hell is wrong with people?
But did you see what Bills Mafia has since done?
I did.
Pretty incredible.
The Bills, last I looked, it was hovering about 45,000. I think they donated to his charity, which is for diabetes, I think, that I read.
That's right.
Is that what it is? Okay. All right, yeah, so Bills Mafia stepping up in a big way. And, you know, Mark Andrews is a very, very good player, well respected, and, you know, mistakes are made. And unfortunately, you know, I know it's going to be tough for him. I can only relate that type of thing to what Scott Norwood might have gone through, and not even as big as Scott, because Scott was kicking for a Super Bowl victory. This was Andrew's chance
Yeah.
just to get to the championship game, which he had been there the previous year. But it's kind of that thing, because dude, I mean, he is in his hands, drops it. Of course, it was cold, snowy, slippery, and he was kind of falling. So you're it's a difficult catch. It looked easy. It's not that easy.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so track review. All right, track review. You're not usually wrong, but we got you on one.
You know who you're
Got you on
thinking
one.
of, I think, is Steve DeBerg, because he was with Kansas City as well. And I think, was it Montana that took Steve DeBerg's spot? And
That
interesting,
makes that makes
interesting
sense.
enough, in San Fran, Steve DeBerg was the quarterback at San Fran. Joe Montana took a spot there. So I think Steve DeBerg is who you're thinking of, track reviewer. I want to say, played for a long time in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. So Jake, one thing we did is we always send our reporters out to get feedback on our show, ask the critics what do we need to do. They always say make the face of the franchise talk more. Put them on. So we're going to do that. Before I do, I'm just going to give you a few little stats, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, buddy, to talk about this Chiefs team that we're going to be facing. So let's talk about the offense. Regular season, the Bills were 10th in total yards per game, averaging 359 yards. The Chiefs, 17th in total yards. This is totally not what you expect from a Chiefs team. They averaged 327.6 per game on the offensive side. On the defense, the Chiefs had the edge. They were 9th in total yards given up, averaging 320 yards to their opponent. And Bills were 17th in total yards given up, 341.5. And we all know that Detroit game and that Rams game didn't help that number at all.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's been kind of an interesting season. You got a 15-2 Chiefs team, probably would have been 16-1 had they not sat all their starters against Denver. But you know what? The teams, and then if you look at our two playoff games here, these last ones, both teams were the opponent had more yards than the winners did. And it's just kind of I don't know, it was very similar between what the Bills did and what the Chiefs did. They were efficient. They didn't make mistakes. I mean, they got 8 sacks on CJ Stroud, and that was a huge difference. But it's just been kind of that kind of year for the Chiefs. Bills have been, a little more, I don't want to say they've been putting up more points, definitely, and blowing some opponents out where the Chiefs really didn't. They're like, hey, we're just gonna cruise. We're gonna go 15-2. We're gonna do our thing, and then we're gonna flip the switch in the playoffs. But let me throw it to you to talk about this Chiefs team. Like, what's different than last year? It seems like the last couple of years has been very similar teams, but Kelsey and Mahomes, they know how to do it come playoff time. So talk to us about the Chiefs and what just talk to us about it. Tell me.
They sure do, and they just know how to use all of their weapons in the most important times. Specifically, you go to crunch time. I mean, anytime they need to make a play, one of their players does make a play. Anytime they have to make an adjustment, they're able to make adjustments. And I think that's what's made the Kansas City Chiefs so damn special over the last really decade when you look at it. Specifically over the last 6 seasons, this is now their 7th AFC championship game in a row. They just do things the right way. And while it might not be the most fun football to watch at times, especially this year, there's a reason why they're winning games. They don't give the ball up, although they did fumble twice in that game against the Houston Texans. But previous to that, they really do not turn the ball over. And as we saw over this weekend specifically, I mean, you had these 4 games, and every team that had more total yards ended up losing because they turned the ball over more. So there is something to be said about playing smart football, playing efficient football. And while it might not be the most fun to watch as a fan at times, there's a reason why teams do win, and it's because they take care of the football. And the Chiefs are one of those teams. The Bills did that against the Ravens on Sunday. So I really do think, again, as cliche as this sounds, it's going to come down to what team is able to force a turnover, or what team is able to prevent themselves from turning the ball over in this game coming up. So Both teams very, very good with protecting the football this year. So definitely going to be interesting. Going to see how opportunistic our defense is. Maybe, looking at last week, how the Chiefs fumbled twice. We got a guy, Terrell Bernard, who's just a stud at forcing fumbles, especially at the right time. So maybe he'll make a play again, this upcoming week here. But I think it is definitely going to come down to that. But again, their success in the postseason, the Chiefs definitely seem to kick it into another gear in the postseason for whatever reason it is, and it's like you start to think to yourself, man, are they just saving themselves for the postseason because their level of play is so much higher for whatever reason? And I think it's just because that's how they're coached, and it's sort of been ingrained in them. But I'll tell you what, JA-17, right behind Pat Mahomes and how good he's been in the playoffs, JA-17 is right there. The guy is unbelievable in the playoffs. And I'll tell you what, again, on Sunday, the numbers weren't crazy, but didn't turn the ball over and had 2 rushing touchdowns and just added to that repertoire. So, just got to keep it up.
Yeah, just to I want to show you how these two teams kind of reshape their offenses. Like in 2022, Pat Mahomes threw for 5,250 yards. Jake, that was his best year as far as yardage goes. 5,250 for 41 touchdowns. That's insane. He threw only 12 interceptions. Year after that, kind of dipped about 1,000 yards, 4,183. And then this year they dipped just a couple hundred yards, 3,928. So the last 2 years, Pat Mahomes hasn't been playing with elite weapons, but they've been efficient. Running the ball, just similar, Buffalo. Throwing the ball he's got Kelsey always to kind of bail him out. And we'll talk about that a little bit. This whole Kelsey, once again, I was watching that game against the Texans, and he continues to get open. How can no one stop Kelsey? And it's crazy, the chemistry between Mahomes and him. And he's just able to figure it out. And when the play breaks down, Mahomes knows exactly what he's going to do and gets bailed out on that. And that's incredible. So you can see the last 2 years how they've kind of changed the shape of their team. Let's talk about Josh Allen for a little bit. So Josh Allen 2 years ago was throwing for 4,283 yards, almost 1,000 less than Mahomes. Threw for 35 touchdowns. The year after that, he had, last year, 4,306. And then this year, 3,700 yards, basically dropping off, what's that, 600? About 600 yards. But the Bills really, since Brady took over last year, really shifted. I mean, running the ball as equal, or if not more, than throwing the ball. And so they're very similar teams. Like, we could see a game where they continue to go on like these 8-9 minute drives. This is what they've been doing all year. These teams may only get 6 possessions. I mean, if they play like that, right?
Yeah.
It could be that type of game. Might be not the most exciting, but that's kind of how they play the game these days. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's like watching paint dry sometimes, right? But as a football purist, there's nothing more that I love to watch than good, efficient football. And I'll tell you what, there's something different about this Bills team this year. When it really matters and when they need it, they always come through, and I know that's a very blanketed statement, but it hasn't been that way in the past. There was always some nerves or something, something behind it where you felt like they were going to mess up. You're just waiting on them to mess up. And I have not felt that this year. And I got to start with Sean McDermott. I mean, he's taken a lot of criticism this year, and he's not perfect by any means. Some people still call him gutless, Tony Altieri. And it, maybe at times it's true. Maybe he is a little too conservative, but I think this year he has done something that he really hasn't done in the past. And that is just a little more patience. And I think he's really letting his coaches coach, and the players are responding to it so much better. There are no egos on this team. I mean, everyone eats. That's been the model this whole entire season. Everybody eats, right? So I think there's something to be said about the Bills and how they've operated this season. And even with how boring of a game it was offensively for them last week, they scored 27 points, Mike. I mean, they could have easily had 31 points had they just ran a tush push, when they're on the 2-yard line last week. So I think while it is, sometimes tough to watch, it's effective and it wears the other team down. And yeah, it might only be 6 total possessions between both teams because a lot of clock is chewed up. And really, it's going to be the last team that possesses the football. It's going to be another close one. I hate to say that, especially for my heart, because I felt like I had 2 heart attacks last week myself. But there is something in the air. There is something special about this team that we didn't have in previous seasons. And again, it's like when we really need it, we always come through. So hopefully that continues on.
Yeah, so we real quick just give some Bills news here. So Christian Benford was and he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that happen in the game. Honestly, I don't know when it happened, but and so he is. I think he wasn't participant in practice, of course. But I'll tell you what, Ray Davis, who the week before, I didn't think that dude would play, and lo and behold, he plays. So I feel pretty good that Benford will be back in as long as he passes the protocol. Again, I don't recall the hit. I don't know how severe it is.
I
And
think it was on the onside kick, actually.
Was
I
it
want to
really?
say. Yeah,
Wow.
I
Okay.
believe so.
All right. So I'm pretty comfortable that he'll be there. People were making a big deal about Milano missing the last 3 plays of the game. And from what I heard, McDermott said he just had some soreness um, in the, what was it? Hamstring. Soreness in the
Yep.
hamstring. So they basically took him out. He's getting worked on. So I feel good he'll be fine. Taylor Rapp, who went out with a hip injury, he's day to day, according to McDermott. So that's a good thing. So all in all, we're still pretty healthy coming in, maybe a little dinged up, but who isn't at this time of the season? I think this is one of the healthiest Bills team you have seen in years past, especially this deep into the playoffs, right, Jake?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, last year you go and you look at the team and we were a shell of ourselves defensively. I mean, so many players banged up, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. This year, we have Matt Milano, we have Dorian Williams playing at a high level, just a human missile, basically, this guy. And I'll tell you what, I was very impressed with the base defense that we ran last week, the 4-3. It worked extremely well against that Ravens team. I would like to see a little bit more of that. I would like to see them sprinkle that in a little bit more because those 3 linebackers on the field at the same time are dangerous. And I'll tell you what, all of them pretty good in coverage for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. I'd love to see it. Let's talk about the Chiefs, right? Let's just put it out there who they got for their weapons. Now, look, I don't think we'll face there's no run game other than Saquon Barkley left in the playoffs as good as what we saw in Baltimore. I mean, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, tops. I mean, if you compare them to Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, I still give the edge to Baltimore on that one. Also because they got Pat Ricard in front of them, helping them with that run game.
Kidding.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So we won't face the run game like we faced this past week. So I think they're going to go more back to their nickel. But I would love to see it, Jake, because I fully agree with you, man. I think they're all good in coverage. Dorian Williams, man, that dude just flies around hitting people, and I love to see it. But I think we'll see more nickel, I would think, but I want to see that 4-3 as well again. We have to worry about, obviously, Kelsey. Let's talk about that a little bit. A couple years ago, I think it was Saran Neal. Before we lost Saran Neal, he was playing. Yep. He was covering him. Is you going to see them put the linebackers? You think he's going to be up to the linebackers, Milano and Bernard?
Well, that's why I would say maybe you do see a little more base, right? I mean, maybe you could play those 3 linebackers, and one of those guys would be responsible for Travis Kelce, right? In previous years, it has been Taron Johnson, it has been Saran Neal. The thing with Taron Johnson is, as good of a nickel corner as he is, he just doesn't have the size.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you got to consider maybe playing a linebacker on Kelce and a guy that's a little bit quicker, obviously, because Kelce is very good working in space. And, he just seems to do his thing. And for whatever reason, he runs open half the time he's out on the field. So, I could definitely see us running some of that just because, Kelce's so damn good in the playoffs. It's either going to be some of that or maybe some dime with an extra DB, and maybe you pull in a guy like Cam Lewis, track reviewer, maybe a little Cam Lewis, or, you pull Cole Bishop down and he could play in the nickel a little bit. So it would be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they play the defense this week, just because, you gotta worry about 87. Not only that, they got a couple good tight ends here, Mike. I mean, Noah Gray, super effective tight end for them. I mean, they have a whole litter of good tight ends. Peyton Hendershot, another good player for them too. They just find a way. And I'll tell you what, in that game against us early on in the year, I think Noah Gray, he caught a touchdown in that one. Maybe it was 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's been upsetting fantasy football owners all season. He's been taking
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot away a lot of
Right.
points from Kelsey.
Yeah.
But it's playoff time, so it's Kelsey. And Kelsey had a massive game last week. Of course, they have Hopkins. They have Worthy, Xavier Worthy, and they have Brown, Hollywood Brown, right?
Yep.
And so they got good weapons. One thing that's interesting, same thing with the Bills. Like since Amari Cooper's come in, now we know he's distracting, taking their best corner typically, and he only got 1 target last week, this past week. But Hopkins also has been kind of limited. And again, I don't know why that is. Why the vet's not getting more snaps. Maybe Weston, you can give your thoughts in there why you might think that is, because I'm pretty sure Hopkins was very limited in snaps. I think 16 is what I heard. 16 snaps last week. And again, I don't know what Cooper had, but I just expect these vets to show up, and this is the game. And I know we said 8-minute drives, 9-minute drives. These two teams, because look, the Chiefs, they want that history. They want that three-peat. They're going to put it on the line. I don't know. This might be a Madden game where no one punts the ball. It might be one of those no punting. And of course, the Bills, they're going to put it all on the line. And this might just be a different game than we might be expecting. It might be one of those 13-second type games where they're just going back and forth quickly, because they still have the potential, man. These two quarterbacks and those offenses. We saw the Bills and the Rams in Detroit, explosive, right? And we know the Chiefs can be explosive. So who knows? It's going to be very interesting. But they definitely, and then I also think their run game. I don't know if Pacheco's back to 100% health, because it hasn't felt that way. I know they picked up Kareem Hunt, which was a great pick, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I was so mad when I saw that they picked him up. I'm like, why is he sitting on his couch? Why did someone not pick him up already? Right. So, because he's been getting a lot of good time, a lot of snaps on their side of the ball and or on offense, and he's been producing for them.
Yeah, he
So,
has.
Kareem Hunt, again. So one of the things, though, and I'll ask Weston, I'll ask you. So I do know they used to, and they still do to a point, those 3 guys in the interior, the center and the 2 guards. However, they were having a lot of pass protection issues. So they moved Tooney out to left tackle, and it's been working for him. But if there's a weakness there, it's in the interior now, which never used to be the case, right? I think they moved over, what's the guy's name?
They have
Calendo?
Mike Caliendo playing left
Caliendo?
guard
Yeah,
right now.
so there's an opportunity there, is all I'm saying. Ed Oliver potentially eats a little bit. We'll see.
For sure.
But yeah, so what's your thoughts on basically their old line? Because again, Tooney dude, when they're center and the 2 guards, unbeatable. Your defensive tackles in the interior aren't going to do much. There's an opportunity for the Buffalo Bills, Jake.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I think we could definitely take advantage, especially. I mean, you talk about Caliendo, you talk about Jawan Taylor, who I think actually had a pretty good game last week against Will Anderson. I thought that Will Anderson was going to eat last week, and he really didn't a ton, So, so shout out to Jawan Taylor for starting to get his form back maybe a little bit, But I think for us, our defensive line can definitely take advantage of their offensive line. Like, they still have some absolute dogs. Don't get me wrong. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, they're very, very good on the interior. And then Joe Tooney at left tackle has done a very good job as well. I mean, that's a tough transition for a guy like that to basically go from inside to outside like that. So just a really, really good athlete in general. I think I definitely do lean more towards the Bills with that matchup, just because I feel like our guys played extremely well last week. So just carry that momentum coming into this week and take advantage, man.
Yeah, Bob, Bills beat the best all year, not stopping now. Let's go. Let's make it happen, Bob. Bob, where are you from, man? I haven't seen you out there in the chat before, but thanks for joining us. And if you're new, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. We'd love for you to join us every time, every show that we do. and travel on the way to the Super Bowl with us, hopefully.
That's right.
But yeah, Bob, where are you from, man? Appreciate you. Weston says he thinks Tooney was going to get moved to the interior for the run game. You think?
I could see that. I mean, you guys have DJ Humphries and Wanya Morris as well that can still play tackle, so I feel like you do have those guys that can come in, and especially for the run game, like you said, Weston, it might be a good idea for them to do so, especially if they are struggling, because I definitely, there's a downgrade there. No offense to Mike Caliendo, not a bad player by any means, but when you put Tooney at left guard and then maybe you put Wanya Morris back at left tackle, you could do some things in the run game that might benefit the team. So, good option.
Yeah. West Seneca, Bob. Awesome. Love it. So, Bob, we got to ask you, best wing place in Buffalo. Where are you going? Where are you going, sir? Give me your top three. Give me your top three. All right. Let's see here. And then we got, you all right, Jake? You all right, sir?
I don't know what I did. I think I just swallowed an ice cube or something. But
those are the worst. By the way, Jake, let's talk about our other sponsor. And you're showing it off right now. Look at that beautiful windbreaker. Oh my God, Nickel City Mafia logo. I'm gonna get the white one. I've been talking about it. I got to do it. It looks fantastic. Now that you have it, I want it.
Oh, it's great. And the material, high quality stuff. I'm telling you, Mike. So yeah, shout out to Big Stitching Embroidery. They have some awesome stuff. It's my cousin who actually runs the company, created it about a year or so ago. And Nickel City Mafia, he is the official merchandise provider for Nickel City Mafia. So you could find Nickel City Mafia merchandise on his website and use code NCM15 to get, I think, 15% off. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, links in the description of the show here. So good stuff.
Chucky's Parking. That's interesting. Before this comment, Chucky's Parking, I want to say something about this. So my great aunt, Aunt Stella was her name. Her and Uncle Jerry, shout out to them. They're no longer living, but that was their old house. So that became Chucky's Parking. They're right by the stadium there. It's a blue house. It's all decked out in Bill's stuff. That's pretty cool. So, Bob, I'm assuming you're saying you park at Chucky's Parking? Pretty cool.
First, because I asked him for his favorite wings. I'm like, Chucky's Parking? Is that a wing place?
Right.
He says
good picks on the wings.
Yeah. So he says Imperial. I like Imperial. I like the pizza. Barbell, of course. I think that's majority. Yes, 10 people, 8 of them are going to say probably Barbell. Duff's. Tell you what, Jake, I'm working on that top 8 wing place video, and Duff's didn't make the top 8. Neither did Imperial. So interesting stuff. Good stuff, Bob. Big Tree Tacos Rock.
Big Tree Inn. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Big Tree Inn.
Have you been there recently?
I actually, I was gonna stop there on Sunday after the game, but of course I wasn't really drinking, so tough environment to be a part of. You're just sitting there. It was shoulder to shoulder in that place, anyways. You couldn't even get up to the bar if you did want to get a drink. So, Big Tree Inn is awesome. I mean, they got the statues out in front, Mike, of Chris Berman and Jim Kelly. Can't beat it.
Their wings are said to be very good. I've never tried the
solid wings.
Yeah.
Yep.
So back to the game here, and again on defense, we've been playing a lot more man coverage. Do you see that continuing here, Jake?
I could see that. I would definitely not say as much. I think with the Chiefs, you definitely have to play a little more zone. Now, I mean, one thing I will say, you definitely have to jam Travis Kelce at the line. Like, get him off his route a little bit. Do something, disrupt him a little bit. So definitely have to see some of that on Sunday. That has to definitely be a piece. And whether it's just jamming them and then bailing, do something like that.
Gotcha. So on the other side of the ball, let's talk about it a little bit because, man, you're struggling. The Bills O-line.
I really am.
people other than Buffalo fans, and not even all Buffalo fans, truly realize just how good this O-line is. It's easily I'm going to say top 3. I'm going to say it. It is so good. We've played, Josh Allen was sacked 14 times. 14 times. And that was the problem with Pat, right? Pat was getting sacked a lot. I forget what the numbers were, but it was pretty darn high. And that's when they made the switch to move Tooney to left tackle. and that dropped significantly. So we'll see, Weston. I don't think they're gonna change him from left guard at all. They want to protect him as much as possible. But the O line of the Buffalo Bills, we did a great job in the first matchup against the Chiefs. And this O line, I mean, we've been going big package, bringing in Alec Anderson. Um, when Anderson got hurt, there's somebody else that's been coming in. Who else comes in on the big package besides Anderson? Um,
I mean, in
can't,
the past, it's been Ryan Vandermark, but he didn't play last game.
yeah,
It's mainly just been Alec Anderson, and he's been fantastic. I mean, what an addition.
yeah.
I mean, he was with us, the previous 2 seasons, and he's just done a tremendous job this year. It was David Edwards last year, but he has obviously since filled in as a starting left guard this year. So, and then Will Clapp too. You're right. That's true. Trek reviewer.
Yeah, so on their defense, obviously they got Karlaftis and Jones, right? Those are the big guys. But why don't you talk a little bit about their defense, and then I'm going to go back to the game. And again, they're different. These are different teams, just like we said against the Ravens, week 4 to week 7, or to the playoffs. Completely different teams. But talk to me about the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, I mean, they have some absolute specimens on that defense. I mean, Chris Jones is the front runner, right? Karlaftis is so damn good. I mean, he's a young player, an up and comer that has just gotten better every single season. They're just a high motor guy that makes plays when they matter the most. Then they have Tershawn Wharton, Mike Dana. They have Charles Menahu, who I don't think actually played in the first matchup. You got guys like Derek Nottie, who's a really good role player, Mike Pinnell. And then you got the rook, or actually I think it's his second year now, Felix Anaduke Uzama, who really hasn't panned out like a first round pick you think would, but still a good role player that can come in. He's fast off the edge. And then the linebackers, I mean, Drew Tranquil and Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is a hell of a player. Drew Tranquil made some clutch plays in last year's playoffs. I don't know if you remember that. So their front is very talented. They're young and they get after it. And I'll tell you what, while the numbers weren't as good as the previous season, they, again, are just very opportunistic and always seem to make plays when it matters the most. So, yeah. And Weston, you're absolutely right. I mean, Nick Bolton, I mean, what a freaking player, man. That guy is an absolute stud from Mizzou. Came into the league, set the freaking world on fire. And if, he's healthy, he's just going to ball out. So Nick Bolton, fantastic linebacker. I think very underrated linebacker too.
Yeah. So looking back at the week, I mean, it was back in November. It was, I think, week 10. It was the 10th game for the Chiefs, 11th game for the Bills. Bills come away with a 30-21 victory. Just make sure here, because let me make sure that was the game, right? Because there's so many times these guys play trying to bring up the
Yeah,
box
right.
score. Sometimes you're like, was that 2021 or what?
Yeah.
And I'll know right here. Let's see here. Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah. I'm not gonna bring that up because there's so many. It's hard to bring up the box score for that game. There's so many times we play. We play in a regular season. They're almost like a division team. We typically play them 2 times a year, right? But yeah, you talked about their defense, and again, I think Trent McDuffie was an All-Pro. I mean, I'm not sure how many All-Pros they had on that defense this year.
Yeah, that's another thing
right
too.
Now?
Yeah, I mean, I just talked about the front, and I mean, you look at what their secondary has done. I think Jalen Watson is on the injury report this week, but yeah, Trent McDuffie, All-Pro corner. You got Brian Cook, who's a very solid safety. Justin Reed, who I know got a little banged up, but I think he came back. And then Jaden Hicks, who was a safety that I fell in love with during the draft process. That dude is going to be an up-and-comer. He's a big safety too, Mike. He's like 6'4", 220. The guy is legit. He was a 4th-round pick for them this year. And, man, again, another rotational piece for that defense who has done very well this season. So when you look at them across the board, they are solid at the very least at every single position group. But I will say this. The last time we played the Chiefs this season, they didn't register a single sack. And we were able to put 30 points on them. So, while they're very talented, I think they have their weaknesses, and we can definitely still expose them.
Yeah, it's crazy to think like they're 15-2. Again, I should probably 16-1 without that last game. And I hate to say this because I've said it many times. This feels like a year that the Bills, this is their best opportunity in the matchups in the playoffs against the Chiefs. The first AFC Championship, the Bills just weren't ready. The Chiefs were just too good at that time. And then in the playoff, the 13-second game, obviously that could have went either way. You would have felt. I mean, I know 99% of the world or the country thought that game was over with 13 seconds to go.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But true Bills fans did not. I did not. I was
I
nervous
didn't
as
either.
hell, and I'm like, damn it, it's gonna happen again. This jinx is gonna get in the way. And then the year last year, I mean, you are the second seed. Chiefs have to come to Buffalo. You're feeling pretty comfortable about that. But again, missed field goal by Tyler Bass late in the game to try to tie it up. Again, it was a long kick and the wind was blowing, but still got to hit that, Tyler. You never know what happened. Game over. But it just feels like this team, and it's crazy to think because without Diggs, without Davis, without Mitch Morse coming into the season, everybody, and I love what Josh said after the game of Baltimore. Everyone thought we're too small. We don't have enough weapons. They were just all against Buffalo, and look what they've done. But this team just feels different, Jake. The Bills do different, and I don't know. I just feel like, again, no disrespect to KC, they are, until you can beat them, they're still king. But I feel like this is our best opportunity. I don't know if you think
100%
this.
agree.
I feel like this is the best team we have, and it's hard to say that considering when we had Diggs, we had some good years with him. But when you look at this team, how much love they have for one another, the chemistry, it's a different feeling this year.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And it's interesting when you look at the makeup of both of these teams, very, very similar, right? You got the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, right? And then you have the running backs, very similar, right? They all have the running back rooms have guys that contribute in different facets. All of them are special in different ways, right? With the Bills, you have James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson. With the Chiefs, you have Isaiah Pacheco, you have Kareem Hunt, and then you have the kid out of UCLA. My gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Carson Steele, running back, rookie running back, who's done some good things this year. And then Samaje Perine, by the way, too. And then you go to tight ends again. They have Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. We have Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Offensive line, they have a very solid offensive line. We do as well. So you go position group by position group. It is very, very close. And the makeup of these teams, extremely similar, right? So Weston makes an extremely good point here. Spagnuolo is the X factor. This game is going to come down to coaching ultimately. So hopefully Sean McDermott learned his lesson from 13 seconds and all these other games that he's played against the Chiefs and in the playoffs in general, right? And he continues to do what he's done this year. For the most part, I think he's made pretty good decisions in crunch time moments, right? So let's hope it continues and carries over.
Yeah, I mean, every coach, I agree with you. I think McDermott's done a fantastic job giving up the reins to Bobby Babich on the defense. And he's been more aggressive this year than I've ever seen him. And people were like chastising him for not going for the tush push or, help coming up with a better play. Basically, the tush push. They should have went for it late in the game, is what people are saying. But I kind of liked what he did. Look, I mean, it's always funny, Jake, because if the play works,
no one's talking about it.
Everyone knows about it. Great play, great call. But I mean, look at the Ravens. Great call. Guy dropped the ball. So, it's like, and then people still have something bad to say. Well, it should have been Lamar running the ball there. Why are we throwing it, right? Why are we throwing it in that weather? Why are we risking that? There's always somebody going to say something negative. But I think McDermott's done a great job. He's been more aggressive than ever this year. And that's why I say these two teams, it could be a Madden game. I'm telling you, this is going to be a game where there should be very few punts, I think. I'm not sure what the weather looks like in KC. Weston, maybe you can kind of give us a preview. What's the weather currently looking like for Sunday's game? And Spagnuolo, I just hope we can get out to a big lead. If we can get out to a nice lead, because he does make some of the most incredible halftime adjustments you'll ever see. It felt like the Chiefs were down And again, I could be wrong, but it just felt like they were down at halftime a lot this year. And they make some adjustments and figure it out. And Spags has been doing it year after year after year. 7 straight AFC championship games, Jake. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That is
That's crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And it's a complete, I mean, the coaching staff's, incredible. But again, like I said, this is the year to do it. This is the year
Yeah.
to do it.
I do like what Bob's saying. Brady is the X factor, right? Just as much as Steve
Yeah,
Spagnuolo is the
there
X
you go.
factor. Why can't Joe Brady be the X factor? I'll tell you what, this guy has called almost as good of a season as I've ever seen as an offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, right? And while you can criticize him here and there for being too cute at times, not just lining up and running the football and just doing a tush push or whatever it may be, I think the guy has been absolutely incredible, and terrified of losing him because, I feel like we finally found our guy, and hopefully he sticks with us, right?
Yeah. I think for this game, like I said earlier in the show, I mean, there's no holding back. If, I know Weston, and I wasn't a believer that, I kept hearing, oh, offenses don't want to show their hand. They're holding back throughout the year. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know why you would. You got to get here. But if that's the case, I think you see the playbook opening up today, opening up Sunday. I mean, Amari Cooper, I keep waiting. Is this the week? Is this the week we release him? Is this the week he has a 100-yard game? Um, but I don't know. I just have this feeling, Jake. It's this is it. You're gonna lay it on the line. Everything you got to do. Do not hold back. Do not hold back at all. And if the weather's decent, I see this being a very high scoring game.
I could definitely see that. And I'll tell you what. So I think Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins have operated very similarly this year, where they are more of like a decoy, demanding
Yeah.
the respect of the number one corner of the opposing team so other guys can get open, make catches, right? And I feel like both of them have totally bought into their system because at the end of the day, they're not getting any younger. They're arguably out of their prime, although both of them just are coming off 1,000-yard seasons. So while I don't think they're bad receivers or anything like that. I mean, this year they are operating in different roles where they are being selfless, and I think they're totally okay with it because both of them are in a position where they just want to win a ring. And Amari said that, like he hasn't reached that pinnacle of his career yet, and in order to do so, he's got to win a Super Bowl ring. But this is a game, the Chiefs and Bills, where those guys are going to have to make a play. I feel like so. I could see Amari Cooper. I mean, it happened in the first game in the regular season against the
Yeah.
Chiefs, right? Amari with 2 monster catches, and honestly, it was a momentum swinging play both times. Hell yeah, Jake, go Bills, brother! You're crushing it out there, man.
He sure is. Are you going? Okay, here's the big question, Jake.
Yeah,
The
right.
other Jake in the channel, host of the Bills Bunker. Are you going to Kansas City? You've been going to so many games. Did you save enough money? Did you get a ticket for KC? Let's go. Let's know. Let us know. Been doing a great job. I love the questions he asks, and he gets and he does his reactions, and does a great recording job. And then it goes quickly, edits it, gets it on YouTube, and just been killing it. What's up? What do you say?
Oh,
You
you already
already
know. I
know.
love it, man.
He's
Where are you
going.
sitting? Where are you sitting out there?
Good stuff. So Bill's Bunker, yeah. If if you haven't checked out, you probably have. You had to see Bill's Bunker. If you haven't, go check him out. It's a great show. He does a great job. He's been traveling all over the country, going to Bills games. He's from Canada, but a huge Bills fan. Comes on over. Man, he's put together some great videos, great reaction videos, and he also asks questions, interviews the opposing fans before the game. And I saw some of those funny things. And then he actually goes and, talks about people's comments and makes fun of those. So it's good stuff.
The compilation videos are just incredible. I gotta say, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up.
So Jake, I want to
Wow.
ask you, it came up early. I think it was Bob or somebody said if the refs play it fair, the Bills have a good chance. Look, I don't watch a ton of Chiefs games. I don't. If they're prime time in the Bills, I do. Yeah, but no, this whole thing about the refs being in the Chiefs' pocket. I don't know. Have the refs been announced? And if they have, what's our odds based on the refs that have been picked?
Yeah, so it has been announced, and Cleet Blakeman is going to be the head ref of the Bills Chiefs game. And a lot of people are saying that he is definitely going to favor the Chiefs. I think there were a couple calls that have gone the Chiefs' way in the past that were pretty controversial, including an unnecessary roughness penalty and some other things, roughing the passer calls. But every time he seems to do a Chiefs game, there's some controversy that follows. So definitely not in our favor. So we will see, But Cleet Blakeman has been announced as the head ref for the Bills Chiefs.
All right. I feel like here's my take on that because even this is crazy. Let's take the Bills game against Baltimore, for example. Nobody remembers, and I guess this is part of the healing process for the losing team. Nobody remembers after that interception by uh, Taylor Rapp, and the Bills were moving. We had just had a nice play. It was 2nd and 3, but we get called for holding. A holding call
Yeah.
that did not happen. I mean, that was not holding. Everybody in the world knows it. And then of course Trey White gets called for pass interference late, actually in the first half to allow us to go in and score our third touchdown of the first half, taking a 21-10 lead into half. And all they ever talk about, yeah, the refs screwed us because of that play. And that play was actually, I get it. I feel like 70% of people are saying it was not a call, 30% saying it was, but it was a little more controversial. The call against Deion Dawkins was not. It was just, there is no way, if you see this and you know football at all, that you would call that a holding call. So my point is, I feel like this is mostly because the Chiefs win all the time. And you can go and look at every game. And if you're the losing team, Jake, and I know we've done it, you'll find one or two plays where we got screwed on calls. So I'm not a fan of that. I guess I'm not a fan of saying it's the refs in their pocket, but there has been some funny, funny memes that have come out. And so I was listening to the Buffalo Shout Show today. They had somebody on from Kansas City, a beat writer there, I think she is, and they were giving a hard time. They're like, I saw a picture of Pat Mahomes kissing a referee. Right? You've seen those. Everyone's seen them.
Oh, I've seen them.
It's hilarious. And she responds like, well, I saw a picture of a referee comforting Josh on the sideline. And we covered that
Oh,
a
yeah.
show or two ago. So it's kind of a funny, funny moment. But that was a real, like, AI is putting out those Mahomes kissing a ref, whereas the comforting on the sideline, that was real.
It's true.
So I'm just not a big believer that the refs are um, in the Chiefs' favor. Now, she did say that they have refs on payroll. He was joking, of course, when she said, "Yeah, we have refs on payroll, so they can fly in whenever they need to and help us out." But I don't know. What's your thoughts on this whole?
Look,
Man, the
great.
Chiefs get all the calls.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I feel like it leans into the story, and the Chiefs are the villain now. They've taken over for the New England Patriots, and they're hated by everyone outside of Kansas City, right? So it's easy and convenient to just say, of course they're going to get that call. Now, I will say, Pat Mahomes, he's out there and he's doing his thing, and he does a damn good job at drawing these calls. Some would say maybe he's on a payroll, or they're on Pat Mahomes' payroll. But if that's the case, then maybe the sport really is rigged. But I don't think it's rigged. I'll say this: I think great teams overcome the referees. I just think you can't, because even if you go back to this Bills Ravens game, right? I mean, sure, you had the phantom holding call, but maybe that pass interference call was also a makeup call. And I know they went and scored a touchdown after that, right? And it affected the outcome of the game essentially, because it would have been a field goal had there not been pass interference, or had there been pass interference on the offense. So I get it. I get the frustration. But again, I think you just got to be better. You got to be better than the officials. You got to expect them to call and make some bad calls against you. You got to do the right thing and overcome them, plain and simple. There's only one way, and you got to overcome the refs. And I'll say this: I did look it up. Cleet Blakeman, It says his crew this season has called the most total penalties on average per game, 15.75. This is more than any other crew, the most of any crew versus a home team, and second versus away teams. So there you have it. Statistically, they probably will be throwing a lot of flags, so the Bills will have to overcome some of those flags.
Yeah. But I mean, let's be real. Josh Allen's he does a really good job too.
Oh, he
With
does.
some of those calls, right? I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yep.
they're both actors. Why wouldn't you be if you're that good? And you know, why not try to get them get those flags?
Josh
So
is becoming a flopper too a little bit. I mean, if you see, there's a couple plays where Josh doesn't go down for anything. I mean, you can see it on the tush push. The guy bullies people and gains 3 to 4 yards, and then you got him out here. He's just touched, and then he falls back. No way.
I will say this: I do believe, and it's part of home field advantage. I do believe you get a few more calls just because of home field advantage. I don't know why it is. It's just something I feel that happens. You get those additional calls.
I agree.
So let's see here. Let's talk about special teams.
Oh, my favorite.
We got one of the best kickers in the game ever to play the game, Harrison Butker, and Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass had a really, kicks a 51-yarder in that element last week. Those elements. I know their kicker had a 47-yarder, but yeah, Tyler Bass, who during the regular season struggled. And I love that, he's, and I think in our first playoff game, did he not miss an extra point? I think.
No, he's been.
Was he solid in the first one too?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So in the 2 games in the playoffs, he's been solid, and it's great because his confidence level's up, and this game could come down to a field goal. Last year, it ended. I mean, we kicked the field goal to try to tie it wide right. I hate to say that. I should come up with a different term. Off target. I'm not going to say whether it was left or right. It was off target. And who knows what would have happened. But yeah, let's talk about special teams, my friend. Go for it. This is your specialty.
It is. Yeah, I love it. What I don't love is that they have Matt Ariza. They ended up just sneaking in and taking him away from us, essentially, right? So, unfortunate story, but it did turn into a good thing for the kid, and he's done a great job as their punter there. Shout out to James Winchester, their long snapper, very solid long snapper for the KC Chiefs, has done a great job there since, I think, 2015. He's going on a decade there now. And our guy, Reed Ferguson, been here as the longest tenured Buffalo Bill. And I believe Winchester also would fall into that category as longest tenured Kansas City Chief. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Weston. But so great battle of the long snappers. Had to mention that. But when it comes to the kicking game, yeah, I mean, you talk about Harrison Butker. He was injured this year. The Chiefs have gone through, I think, 3 total kickers this season. But now Harrison Butker is back, and it seems like, he's back to where he was, health-wise, and he's kicking extremely well. So, this game definitely could come down to a kick. I think it's great that T-Bass has not missed an extra point or a field goal this playoffs. And I'll tell you what, last week in that weather, I feel like your confidence going into that 50-plus yard field goal could have been a little shaky, but he drilled it, and it was perfect. There was never a doubt. So definitely going to need that confidence going into Sunday for sure. Slippery Sam Martin, been pretty damn good as well in the playoffs. And I'll tell you what, I think he's got some swagger because he got a nice little incentive bonus at the end of the season when he had that last punt in 20. So shout out to him. And how about Matt Collins? I'll tell you what, he has been special on special teams. It's fun to watch the Gunners again here in Buffalo, right? We haven't had a Gunner this good since Marcus Easley. And then since before that, Steve Tasker, right? I mean, the guy that essentially created a special teams position for the Gunner position. So watch Matt Collins out there. He always seems to make a play, and he's opportunistic. He'll make a big hit or recover a fumble or force a fumble. I think something like that's going to happen on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about Matt Collins. I mean, up until this year, I knew nothing about Matt Collins. I know he played for Miami. I'm not sure how long. I don't even know how many teams he had been on. I think at least 3, maybe 4. I don't know. Do you know? But
so Philly, Atlanta, Oakland.
Wow.
Or Las Vegas, rather, not Oakland.
Yeah.
And Miami, yeah. So 4 teams.
How did a guy like that get away? I'm glad he did because, look, not only is he just maybe one of the coolest guys. I mean, the guy goes barefoot, walks into the stadium in the snow barefoot, wearing some cool cool outfit. But that is him. I mean, he really is. He truly is. He goes barefoot. I believe he doesn't even like to eat with utensils if he doesn't have to. I think I heard that.
That's right.
Doesn't like to take elevators. Says nope. If I can get there with my feet, I'm going. But dude, just a great. I mean, good blocker. He's a big dude. He's 6'4", like 220 or something like that. I mean, this is a big physical guy. And I'll tell you what, every game he shows up for one or two big plays. When you need something and Josh is looking, all of a sudden it's Matt Collins. He makes a play. And like you said, play special teams. Not afraid to play special teams, and he's been fantastic. And I just don't know how a guy like that, great team guy, great rah-rah guy, cool dude, gets along with the team. How's he get away? I'm sure the Dolphins, I know Keith, a good friend who does the Dolphins podcast, he's regretting that they ever let him go. And I hope the Bills sign him for another 2-3 years at least, extend him. Gotta have that guy back. Gotta have him back, man. And he's quickly become one of my favorite players, Jake, in just 1 year. It's insane.
Yeah, if I told you the leading touchdown leading touchdown catcher on this team was Matt Collins, I don't think you'd believe me, right? I mean, the guy led the team with 5 receiving touchdowns this year. And while those numbers aren't crazy, I mean, you look at what he's done. Again, as you said, Mike, it just seems whenever we need a play or something done in a clutch moment, he seems to be there. And you know what I love? His attitude on the field. I mean, he comes with a little bit of chippiness, right? Like
he does.
Just a little bit of nastiness, but he's having fun out there. And you just got to love that. He did get penalized the one time while he was doing it, but
he's got to watch that
he makes up for it tenfold. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to watch that a little bit.
Yep.
So let's talk about it, Jake. So let's get into your thoughts and what the Buffalo Bills got to do to win this game, and where we can take advantage, where, if anywhere, we might have an advantage over the Chiefs.
Running the football. Do not abandon it too early. And you know what? I'll say this. We have not done that at all. We've been extremely patient with the run game. I mean, you go back to last week against the Ravens. We essentially played their game by wearing them down, running the football. Wasn't pretty. We didn't average a ton of yards per carry, but we got the job done. So I love what Bill's Bunker said. Let James Cook, right? But not just James Cook. Ty Johnson, Ray Davis. Ray Davis, by the way, looked rejuvenated as hell. I mean, he looked better post-concussion than he did before concussion, or better since, maybe a few weeks ago. So just really, really impressed with what we've been able to do with these backs. They're all special in different ways. So run the football. I mean, it's very simple. It's very basic, but not only that, but mix in some play action while you're doing it. You get them to commit a little bit to the run game. You could take the top off a little bit. I think Khalil Shakir is in store for a monster game, and I do think Amari Cooper is going to have 1 or 2 game-changing catches in this game. So, don't forget about JA-17, quarterback's legs, so damn important. You're going to hear Tony Romo say that about 40 times on Sunday. But I do think that Josh Allen may have 1 to 2 rushing touchdowns again this game. So, yeah, he's always killed the Chiefs with his legs, and I think it's going to happen again on Sunday. There's just no way to really key in on him. And when you do, then you hand it to your backs. Yeah. And how about get 41 involved too, Mike? I mean, I'll tell you what, Reggie Gilliam, he's been pretty damn good as a blocker for this Buffalo Bills team over the last few weeks, huh?
Yeah, he really has. I appreciate him a little bit more because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you talk about the running backs. I mean, all 3 of our running backs can catch the ball out of the backfield. And we saw Ty Johnson's a threat, a big threat out of the backfield. That guy has been incredible. They all have great hands. I think Ty probably has the best. And no matter who's in there, it's not much of a drop off. Yes, James Cook has the long playability, but man, dude, when they come in, you're not saying, why is Cook not in there? Why get him back in? No, these guys, all of them, make plays. Ty Johnson, Ray Davis. It's a great thing to have, and I think, last year, in a game against the Chiefs, we didn't have this O-line. We didn't have this. We had a decent running game, but this year it's been a focus. We go heavy. We tell you we're running the ball, and stop us, and we're able to do that. We're able to play bully ball sometimes, which I love. Um, so it's different this year. And last year I also believe the Chiefs had that ability. They were bullying us with the run game. And I think this year Bills have a slight edge in that place. I don't know. I'm just again, I could be wrong, Jake, because I don't see a lot of the Chiefs games. And Wes could be say, "What's Mike smoking?" I just know that I watch the Bills games, and I've been super impressed with this run game, no matter who it is. No matter who it is. Yes, Baltimore made some adjustment in the second half, started shutting that down a little bit, and I feel like the Bills got a little safe. I don't think you're going to see that this time. I think they'll be a little more aggressive because once you get a little more aggressive, they got to go away from shutting down that run again, and then you go back to the run. So anyhow, um, I'm, I love our run game. So tell
Absolutely.
me, you said run the ball, stick to the run. There's Cody.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cody,
you don't have to do anything super pretty. Yeah, listen, that by the way, that is his full name, Mike. Ramon Walter Jamar Davis.
wow,
Incredible. Yes.
wow, yeah,
Very
I mean,
underrated.
so that's Ray Davis's full name.
That is. That is
Wow.
correct. Yep.
So yeah, Ray Davis, like again, didn't even expect him to be in this game. Like he took such a massive hit. Remember, Josh overthrew him a little bit, and the dude just
Yep.
nailed him. Got a personal foul for that. I didn't expect Ray Davis to come back, but no, nothing stopping him. And he gets in there and plays fantastic. He had a touchdown, didn't he?
He did. Yeah,
Score
he
one of the
scored the first
touchdowns.
touchdown of the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so our running backs are fantastic. The O line's great, so we can depend on that. And again, going back to this, just feels like a different team. We can beat you in so many ways. We can run the ball. JA 17, he didn't do a whole lot in this past game, but he has, that's going to come out in this Chiefs game. But I will say this too: Pat Mahomes is dangerous. Like Pat Mahomes can make plays with his feet as well. It always shocks me. I'm like, my God, Pat Mahomes, when he wants to run the ball, he can run. But I'm all over the board. I'm just saying the Bills, to me, this is the best team we've had going up against the Chiefs. And they're better than they were even back from November. So let's go.
There's just an aura, there's just a different feel of confidence going into this game. And this is no disrespect to the Chiefs. I mean, they're 15-2. They operate the best in the postseason out of any team in the NFL right now, still to this day, right? But there is something special about this team. And like I said earlier, Mike, it just seems like when we need to have it, we always get it, And again, very, very generic statement, but you know what I mean, right? Like in the
Mhm.
past, if there was ever a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2, you'd have your doubts as a Bills fan, right? Um, even you go back to this Ravens game, if they score on that 2-point conversion, it's a tie game. We have a minute and 33 left. There wasn't a doubt in my mind that we're still going to win that game, whether it was off a game winning field goal or a game winning touchdown. So, it's just a different vibe that I get with this team this season because you just have an aura of confidence. Josh Allen taking care of the football better than anyone, historically, literally better than anyone in NFL history. And it's just, we're doing all the right things. And, it is taking it game by game. I think that's really like the visionary and just the perspective that we have going into each matchup. I feel like it's just so much more focused, hyper focused to a point. And it's really benefited us.
Yeah. So as I say that, I think this is the best team the best chance that we have. Don't get me wrong. I am nervous as hell. Being a Buffalo Bills fan that I can remember as far back as 73, 1973. I've had my heart broken many, many times. So, and if someone's going to break my heart, it's going to be Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid once again. But again, I'm going in more confident than I've ever been against the Chiefs. We'll see how that plays out.
Now, my question to you is, were you more nervous for the Ravens or are you more nervous for the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, I was worried about to say I was more worried. Um, yes, and I'll tell you why. I was more worried because they beat us in week 4. They beat us.
Yep.
They're the only team that beat us handily. We struggle against the run at times. Of course, this was the healthiest, and we made just enough adjustments to stop them. We held Derrick Henry to 80 something yards, um, and Lamar also we held him from what he normally does. So I was concerned because that is one of our weaknesses, the run game, the run defense. And Derrick Henry has done it to us so many times, not only as a Raven, as a Titan as well. So yeah, I was concerned. Lamar Jackson, their weapons. I think the Chiefs have better weapons. I mean, you can argue those two tight ends, Likely and and Andrews, but they were missing Zay Flowers. So
Yeah,
that kind of gave me a little relief. But my biggest concern was that run game. Stopping Derrick Henry. Even said that on the show. You stop Derrick Henry, we'll have a chance. We had Chris and Rick on there, and I also said the Bills are the number one turnover differential team. And for those that say, like, Jake, I'm going to say it on a show because I had a hard time. If Chris and Rick see this, I'm okay with it. I mean, in the chat, they were saying, you didn't win the game. We lost the game. 3 turnovers. You should have blew us out by more. Look, the Bills forced those turnovers. It's not lucky. It's lucky if you do it once, Jake. Bills have been doing it all year. And I don't think there's a game that they've lost turnover battle. I think that's well known. But this is something you train for. This is something I know defensive coaches teach, and that's how to strip the ball, how to force fumbles. We seem to be in the right position to make interceptions, like we were against Lamar in that pass game. So I don't know. What we got here?
I think it's
So to
bogus
answer your
too,
question,
Mike. To say it, to say the
yes,
turnovers weren't earned too. I mean, that's a crazy statement.
it
They
is.
were absolutely earned.
Yeah, they were absolutely earned. The team, again, I get it. If it was a one-time thing, but if you know the Bills, they've been doing it all year. They get turnovers and they don't give the ball over. So I think that's going to be a big factor as well in this game. But to answer your question, I guess it's hard to say. I mean, I'm nervous against the Chiefs, Jake. Don't get me wrong. We're going in Arrowhead. We've been beaten, 3 times by Pat Mahomes already. This is the 4th opportunity here. And so I guess I'm doing a little bit of a cop out here without disrespecting it. I was worried about Baltimore because they had the ability to expose our one big weakness. I don't know, it's a big weakness, but it was our one weakness. I don't think the Chiefs have that running game that they did. So I feel a little bit better that our defense will match up pretty well against their offense.
Yeah, I agree. I like our front 7. I like our front 6 compared to their offensive line. And again, this is no disrespect to their O line, but I just feel like with how we played last week and how we almost sacked Lamar multiple times, Pat Mahomes mobile, not as mobile as Lamar. Maybe we do register a few sacks this week. So I think that is going to be a huge difference maker.
We also blitzed quite a bit. I mean, against Lamar at the right time, it seemed.
Yeah.
So I hope they continue to dial that up because we have struggled to get to Pat Mahomes in the past, especially in the playoffs. We get around him, but he gets away. So I hope they bring a little more pressure, just like I know Spags is going to do at the right time as well. And may the best quarterback win.
I'll tell you what, if we are going to blitz, just make sure you don't leave 87 uncovered.
Oh,
That's all I got to say.
I know, Pat. Actually, with me saying that, I'm like, no, maybe don't blitz because I know Mahomes
right?
usually just tears that
Could
up.
be dangerous. Yeah.
Bill's Bunker bets from last game. Derrick Henry under 96.5 yards. Nailed it. Matt Collins under 1.5 receptions. Nailed it. He had his 1. And Bill's money line.
Yeah.
Dude, so how much did you put on that? And how much did you come away with?
Nice, man. Yeah.
And Bob, thanks for joining us, man. Hope to see you in the near future.
Go Bills, Bob.
Love when we see some local folks joining us on the podcast. So, Jake, I mean, it's time. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I'm not going to give a score. I will say this. I've said it already. This is the best opportunity for the Bills. I think we get it done. And I'm not giving a score. It'll be a close game. I always hope for a blowout because my heart really struggles in these close games or these close games. I do think it'll be a high scoring game. I don't know what the over is. Let's look at the over real quick. You know what it is?
I'm curious what the line is. Let's see.
It's probably with these two teams 54, maybe. I'm gonna guess. You tell me.
Let's see.
It's anything under 54. I'm smashing it.
So we
Anybody
got
know?
Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites
Yep.
and 47.5. Wow.
Smashing it. I'll
I
have to
like it.
check the weather as well. If the weather is like, because Weston said it was kind of nice right now. The weather's decent. You gotta smash it. I just feel like these two teams will score some points, and I do think it's going to be a little bit more open than people are talking about. Like I even mentioned, these teams can go on 9-minute drives. Next thing you know, this game's over quickly, and the
Right.
teams have only had like 6 opportunities each to possess the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could very well see that. And maybe that's what they're thinking, right? So
And so I say the Bills win. I do think it'll be a high scoring game, and I think it'll be a 1-score game. And I think the difference again will be a key turnover by this Buffalo Bills defense.
I'm going to say, I'll agree with you. I'm going to say 31-27 Bills.
Okay, high scoring. So that's easily hitting the over. So smash it.
Yep, smash it.
We got to check with the EQ bets. See if
We're going to get a play of the day from them. And trust me, as soon as we do, I'm going to do a little short for it and make it something real special for the channel. So stay tuned for that because we will have a play of the day for it. I'm excited about it.
Love it. So Jake, good stuff. Good show tonight. I do want to so Cody, if you're still out there, I want to do multiple shows this week just because leading up, it's something special for the championship. I want to try to do another show this week, Jake. I don't know if you can make some time with the wife, with the baby. Maybe do a show on, I don't know what you got planned this weekend. Friday night,
maybe Friday. Yeah,
Friday night. Cody, if you're available, would love to have you. Just love your analytics and would be great to have you on. So join us if you can. What you got going on Friday, Cody? Putting it out there. Join us. And it'll be a fun show. Bob, again, thank you so much. Jake from the Bills Bunker, always good to see you. Bring it home for us, man. You're going to be in Arrowhead. It's going to be a great experience. I can't wait to see all the film that you produce out of that. And fun stuff there. He says, let me know. I should be open. Perfect.
Awesome. I love it, man.
Perfect. Let's plan on it, Cody. Probably be a similar time, Jake, for you. 10 o'clock's usually good.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah. And by the way, we got to get Jake from Bill's Bunker back on, too. I know we were talking about doing a collab at some point. So,
Jake, thanks again.
Sure.
Trucker for your stayed with us the whole show. Usually he comes in, gives me a cut cam, and he bails on us. And then he goes, and then I see him on all the other Bills podcast shows. So thanks for hanging out longer this time, Trucker viewer. But yeah, Jake, you're welcome too. Join us Friday night if you are. I don't know when you're traveling. You're probably going to fly in. You might be flying Friday, maybe not. Maybe it's going in Saturday night. But if you're available, we'd love to have you. 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll make it happen.
That'll be fun.
Jake, closing thoughts, man.
Closing thoughts. You know what? This is do or die, Mike. It's what we always wanted. It wouldn't feel right if we didn't have to go to the King's Palace.
Yes, exactly.
Officially slay the king. So it's time. It's time, baby. And this is the team to do it. This is our best opportunity at doing so. And, don't want to even think about the thought of not doing so, but I'm feeling ultra confident about it, I got to say. So I'm ready. Can't wait. Sunday can't come soon enough.
I know. I'm still getting texts from people saying the same thing. I'm going to continue wearing my Bills jacket proudly because I'm meeting a lot of new people out here. They just come out of the woodworks. It's nothing better than hearing "Go Bills" or people walking up to you. Hey, I grew up in Buffalo, man. And it's just been cool.
Especially this week. I mean, everyone knows it's the Bills and Chiefs. I feel like most of America will probably be rooting for the Bills because they want to see a different team get into the Super Bowl. So while that makes me a little more nervous because I feel like the Bills are better when they're a little under the radar and written off, it's nice to have people rooting for the Buffalo Bills that are really not super familiar with the Bills per se.
So you'll already be in KC Friday night. All right. Are you flying out Friday? Might be able to join, but can't confirm. Hit me up. Yeah, we'll definitely hit you up. I'll send you the invite. If you can jump on, great. Cody, I'll send you the invite. And I guess unless something comes up, 10 o'clock, what it'll be. And I know we got the Ruthless show. The guys are going to get back for a show Saturday.
Yeah.
So more shows than normal. And of course, we'll have our post game, and hopefully it's a good one. Let's just say
Right?
that. Hopefully it's a
Yeah.
good one. But anyhow, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Stay safe. Enjoy this. Bills winning, getting a huge win against Baltimore. I think now, through Wednesday, we've been celebrating. Now it's like focus on the Chiefs. I know the team's already been focusing since Monday. Heck, they probably went into the room and started coaching it up right after that Baltimore game.
Oh,
They're
for
like,
sure.
let's go. Get in the rooms. We're watching film immediately. We're talking strategy. So everyone, thanks again. We appreciate you. Please smash that like button. Drop a nickel on the subscribe. It's completely free. Join our Discord. It's a link in the description of the show. Check out EQ Bets. Going to drop a link there. Check out Big Stitch Embroidery. Get some bills. Look at that Nickel City Mafia gear. It looks fantastic.
Beautiful.
All right, guys.
It really is.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.